Happy Sabbath. It is again an honor and a privilege for me to be invited by Russia to come back to give us another health talk to help us get back on track or wherever we've been. I gave a talk before. I think there were fewer people here than there are now, so that's great. I know, according to Russia, a lot of you have been on health journeys, which is good, which is all. I was on a health journey, I was in Manua for about 2 months. Manua is such a beautiful place to do what you gotta do to get healthy. But when you come back to Tutuila, yeah, you know what happens. Okay, so I need about 3 volunteers. I need you to come up to tell the congregation. Personal stories are very powerful and important. So I need you to come up to give us, at least tell us a bit about where you are in your health journey, whether you started, whether you are intending to start, whether you're just still thinking about it. Whatever it is, I need at least 3 volunteers to come up. Volunteers before I pick?
Maybe I can help you with that.
Thank you.
We had a challenge in the beginning after you left.
Right.
So we had winners. Our winner is after sitting back there. His name is Wati.
Okay.
He was the one who lost the most. Then the next one was our head elder right here.
Thank you.
Another one. So you can use those.
All right. So we'll start with Wati. Is it? Yeah. Wati, please. So I'll just have you either speak in English or someone to tell us what you have done to get to where you are right now, how it made you feel, and how you can help, inspire the others who are sitting here to get on that health journey. Okay, remember it's a journey. It's not about the destination. You get on, you get off. So these are real life stories. We have them right here in this trip. You should do things in moderation, which is one of the principles of New Start. Which is, what do we call it? Temperance. Yes, moderation. Question?
I think exercise can be good consistently. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the problems. Most
Yes.
of the people who exercise, when they see that they lose weight, they try. But it
Yes.
has to be consistent.
Yes, that's true. So consistency is key. The other thing, like I mentioned before, is what your mind does to you is called self-sabotage, okay? So if you're used to this group of people, your mind thinks that this is your tribe. When you change to become better, your mind, if you don't hack your subconscious, which is what I talked about before, by changing the way you think, your mind will take you back to your old tribe. Because that feeling of, what do you call? The group not the group motivation. It's more like a peer pressure. It's the feeling of being in a group, in a tribe. So you look at the 5 people around you, most likely you are just the same as they are in terms of your health status, okay? So when you try to move away from that group, your subconscious will trick you to go back to feel safe within the tribe. So when we are about to change a habit and we're changing, you'll find that you'll keep going back to that mentality of that group if you don't hack the subconscious by doing affirmations like I mentioned before, by challenging the self-talk that you have, the self-dialogue that you have every day. And it has to do with consistency. You're correct on that. Thank you. Any other question? Okay, so I think I'll go right on to today's session is mostly about all the other letters of the acronym. What was the second one? Did we touch on exercise? Okay, so slightly. Keeping it very simple, when it comes to exercise, so the general advice is 30 minutes a day, at least 5 times a week. Best form of exercise, walking. But it's not strolling, it's walking as an exercise, okay? So all you gotta do is walk until you cannot sing your favorite song, okay? So you gotta be walking until you feel breathless. So keep pushing yourself. So like I said before, we start with the foods, and as the food cleans up the system, your body builds up energy, it'll push you to exercise. All you need to do is to walk. Walk until you're breathless, and if you feel you get any forms of pain, or if you feel exhausted, sit down on the road, rest, build up your energy, and walk again. See, people want to be perfect on the first day of walking. But if you do that, then you give up easily, okay? Go with the flow and go with how much energy you have. So maybe the first day you can do from here to the first house and back. That's fine. It's a start. Okay, so you keep pushing yourself, but you make sure that you're working, getting your heartbeat up to where it needs to. And by that, what you need to do is actually walk until you're not able to sing a complete song or to complete a whole sentence. Then you know you're walking at the right rate, okay? So 30 minutes a day. Actually, so there are two forms of exercise. You have anaerobic exercise and aerobic. Walking is actually aerobic. Walking will make you lose weight faster than the high intensity interval training that happens like Zumba, maybe weights. So walking actually for 30 minutes or more a day will make you lose fat than high intensity interval training. Okay? So that's a relief for a lot of us, okay? Because we don't have the time nor the energy to do those forms of exercise. So walk 30 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week. Next, water. How much water do we need to drink?
8 glasses a day.
8 to 10 glasses. But the exact formula is actually based on how much you weigh. So if you calculate that, it's your weight in pounds, you have that amount in ounces is actually how much you need to drink. Okay? So say for example I'm 300 pounds, how much do I need to drink?
150.
What's the half of 300?
150.
150, so 150 ounces. That's it. If you calculate that, that's where the 6 to 8 glasses comes from. That's speaking in terms of a 70 kg man, which is about the average of what we use. It comes to about 6 to 8 glasses. But if you weigh more than 70 kilos, you need to drink more. And that's the formula. So half your weight in pounds, and then convert that to ounces. That's the exact amount of water you need to be drinking a day. So, which means for the majority of us, that'll be roughly about anything from 3 to 6 liters a day, which is a lot of water, but that's the amount of water you need based off of your weight. Huh? So do that calculation, keep it posted somewhere in the house, and keep drinking that amount of water. You'll be surprised, the more water you drink, the less hungry you are, so the less fat you build up, okay? Water. What's the next one? Sunlight. How much sunlight do we need?
At least an hour?
I hear one sunlight, of course we have one sun. How much time do we have? Out in the sun.
An hour?
An hour a day.
Okay, I hear 15 minutes, so around about 30 minutes a day, a minimum of 30 minutes a day, again, 5 times a week. We have to be a little bit more intentional on how much we expose ourselves to the sun. See, we are colored peoples, which means we are not white, which means we need more sun than the white person does. But at the moment, white people get more sun than we do, okay? So what happens is we suffer from vitamin D deficiency. So how do we know that we're suffering from vitamin D deficiency? We have a high rate of diabetes, we have a high rate of fractures because of weak bones, high rate of prostate cancer in men, breast cancer in women. We're not getting enough sun, okay? So you need to go out in the sun. Don't worry about how your color changes. You need the vitamin D from the sun, okay? So you might be keeping your color, but at the same time you're getting sicker, okay? So go out in the sun, 30 minutes a day at least. Start slowly. Don't get yourself burned. Start slowly. If you're not used to the sun, you will get burned. But over time, like anything, you get acclimated to the sun, then you can tolerate the sun better, okay? The other thing is, if you eat too much vegetable oils, processed oils, your body cannot tolerate the sun. If you eliminate oils, you'll find your body loves the sun. So eliminate oils from your diet, your body will be more able to tolerate the sun, okay? 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week. Good times to go out in the sun is roughly before 10 o'clock and maybe after 2 or 3 in the evening. Yeah, in the afternoon.
When you say oil, what do you mean by oil? The cooking oil?
Cooking oils, cooking
Or
oils.
specific like olive oil or?
All kinds of vegetable oils, yes. So cooking oils, like I said before, oils, mostly saturated fat, so they get in the way of how nutrients are processed in the body. less oil. So in nature, oils are in nature, but not in its pure form as we're using vegetable oils. Huh? So fat, like oil is fat, but because we are extracting this from its natural state, it becomes a processed food, like anything else. So it doesn't behave in the body like natural food stuff. For example, olive oil comes from what? The olive fruit, okay? How much better it is to eat the oil in the fruit than to just extract the oil without every other good thing with it, okay? So stop eating extracted or purified food, so-called purified foods. Eat whole foods, okay? All other vegetable oils, they come, what are the ones? Soybean oil. How much better to eat the soybean rather than eating the extracted oil, okay? Or don't eat it at all, yes. Okay, so sunlight, 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week. There is something called sun gazing as well. The easiest way to get vitamin D into your system, early in the morning when the sun is on the horizon, look at the sun directly. I don't advise you to look at the sun when it's high up in the sky, because it might damage your eyes. But look at the sun when it's on the horizon. What that does is the rays go directly to the retina, which is behind the blood vessels behind the eyes, and vitamin D can form directly into the bloodstream. If it goes through the skin, then you'll have to give it time to actually go across the skin into the blood vessels. That takes time. So when you're having a sunbath, after a period of sunbathing, do not go directly to shower. Wait for a while, allow the vitamin D to get into the blood vessels, and then you can shower after, okay? Make sense? So sun gazing is also important, but only do it when the sun is on the horizon, huh? Okay, that's about it for the sun. Oh, by the way, even when the sky is overcast, when there's clouds, you can still benefit from the beneficial rays of the sun. Go out even if it's cloudy, okay? But the sun, the beneficial rays won't come through a window pane. So driving in the car, it does not count. And sitting in the house, allowing the rays to come through the windows does not count. You have to sit directly in the sun and expose as much of your body as possible, but especially where the skin is thinner. For example, the inner sides of your hands, your thighs, your face. Expose those areas to the sun. Okay? So that's sunlight. What's the next one? Temperance. What is temperance? We just talked about temperance. Yes. Self-control. Everything in moderation. So too much or too little is not good, and that counts for good things as well. Like we said, exercise. Too much of exercise is not good as well. Temperance. Next. Air. Okay, so we have air. People assume that just because there's air around you, you don't have to consciously breathe. The problem is nobody's breathing right, especially after you grow up. Children know how to breathe. They are abdominal breathers. When we grow older, we become chest breathers. That's the problem with that is if you're a chest breather, you're only aerating or ventilating the upper part of the lungs. You're not really getting air to where it's needed, down here where the bigger part of the lung is. So we have to be abdominal breathers to force oxygen into the system. In the hierarchy of importance of food, oxygen is the most important. But a lot of us don't know how to breathe. And then after oxygen is water, after water is food. So if you want to be healthy, we've got to start with knowing how to breathe. Okay, let's all stand. I'll show you how to breathe. Stand for now. This is important. So the trick is just remember, when you breathe in, your stomach comes out. All movement is supposed to be from the stomach, not from the chest. If your shoulders go up when you're breathing the wrong way. Okay, let me see you. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, out. Okay, so everybody's doing this. Okay, stop. So this is the right way to breathe. When you breathe in, your stomach comes out like this. Do you notice your shoulders don't move? It takes practice. Don't worry about it. But try. Put your hand on top of your stomach like this. Push it out when you breathe in. Push out. Don't raise your shoulders and breathe in. It has nothing to do with the shoulders. It has to do with the biggest muscle of breathing down here. Again, one more time. Out. Out. Okay, in and out. Okay, got it? Have a seat. Okay. Have a look at newborns. Have you seen newborns breathe? Their stomach rises and falls. It's nothing to do with the chest. The biggest organ, the biggest muscle of breathing is called the diaphragm. It's right here, okay? So you can control your breathing simply by moving the diaphragm. And the diaphragm can be voluntarily controlled. So that's what we're doing. We're pushing out the stomach, and when you push out the stomach, you pull down the diaphragm because you create negative, You create negative pressure in the abdominal region, okay? So with negative pressure, it sucks down on this big muscle, forces air into the lungs, and aerates the lower part of the lungs, see? So most of our breathing really is not sending oxygen to the lower part of the lungs, which is the bigger part of the lungs. So no wonder we're not getting enough oxygen in, so we're always feeling sleepy, huh? Now we know anytime you feel sleepy, move that big muscle. Remember, in means stomach out. So the opposite is breathing out, huh? So if you want to try if this really forces oxygen into the body, so try and go up a hill. If you feel breathless, change the way you breathe, do abdominal breathing, you'll find you'll have more energy to go up further on that hill. So really, oxygen is actually the most important nutrient in the body. But if you're not breathing right, then you're not getting in that important nutrient, okay? Without oxygen, how long can we survive? A few minutes. That's why you can drown easily within a few minutes, huh? People can go without water for about a week. We can go without food for months. So out of the three, oxygen is the most important. So you've got to know how to drive that nutrient into the body, breathing, okay? I think that the quality of the air around you is important. One of the most toxic airs you can breathe is in the house. So any opportunity you get out of the house and do the big abdominal breathing, okay? I don't care how well ventilated a house is, the air outside is still much, much more healthy than the air inside a house, okay? And then in our houses, there's a lot of mold, there's a lot of rotting stuff, and all of those creates this miasma, this polluted air that we keep breathing, and if people are coughing in the house, you're breathing in all that toxin, okay? So when you have the opportunity, go out into the open. See right there, that's where the healthy air is. That's where a lot of good oxygen is. But also when we're driving, put your windows down when you're running by the ocean, okay? Not only are you breathing in good air, but you're getting in negative ions, which is basically they have fight free radicals in the body. They are antioxidants. Things that go in and search out all of these things that damage the body. So those can be found in the air as well, and you can breathe them either from close to the ocean or up in the mountains, okay? So the quality of air where you're breathing on and the kind of breathing that you do is important. Air, what's the next one? Rest. So there are a few kinds of rest which we discussed before. Physiological rest, which has to do with food. Psychological rest, which has to do with your mind. And physical rest. So most of us interpret rest as physical rest, sleeping. We all know how many hours do we need in a day? In a night? About 8 hours of sleep a night, okay? And the critical hours is around about 9 to 12. That's when you have the deep REM sleep. So that's when the body really cleanses deeply. But nobody goes to sleep at 9, and I know that for a fact. Huh? Everybody goes to sleep at about 11, 12, 1 o'clock. So the critical hour when the body needs to cleanse, nobody does. So we're supposed to go to bed with the roosters and wake up with the roosters. That's how it is, okay?
That's the way I sleep. That's the way I sleep. It affects, okay, that's the way I sleep. Affect the hours I sleep.
Like, as in, or as in the position?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't really affect the way you sleep, but they say unless if you have conditions like gastritis or reflux, or if you're pregnant, or if you have a big tummy, the way you sleep is important. To keep this big, artery open, because sometimes it gets compressed, and also to, if you have gastritis or reflux, to prevent reflux of acid back into the mouth, which can cause coughing at night. So if you have problems sleeping, like shortness of breath or pain that wakes you up at night, lie on your left side, okay? So the left side is the preferred side for sleeping, because of the way the stomach is oriented. The stomach is actually shaped like a kidney bean, so it's heavy on the left. So when you lie on this side, it keeps the contents in. When you lie on the other side, you're like overturning a pot. The acid will flow up, especially if you have a history of gastritis or reflux, which means you burp a lot, or you have a lot of chest pain, either related to food, or when you're hungry, you get that chest pain. Lie on your left side. At any time when you're uncomfortable sleeping at night, turn to the left. Especially if you're coughing, you'll find you turn to the left, the coughing goes away. It's okay to lie on the left. You're not really compressing the heart. The heart is protected. It's an organ that's protected. That's why you have the rib cage that actually protects it. But the more concern there is actually the stomach. And usually it's inflammation in the stomach that spreads across the tissue and affects the heart. 90% of our problems start with your food, and 90% of diseases start in the gut, in the stomach. And they spread to the lungs, causing pneumonia, spread to the heart, causing maybe pericarditis, heart failure. So it doesn't really affect the heart, okay? But it actually helps with big blood vessel here called the aorta. Prevents its compression when you lie on the left. And sometimes they advise you to put a pillow between your knees and have your knees bent to help support the spinal curvature. So sometimes putting something in between the knees will help that, as well as a not so high pillow on your head. Because the spine, there's a natural curvature to the spine. That's why some people get, backaches, yes. If you're going to lie on your back, put a little pillow, maybe a little something here on the little, little curvature of the back here, the lower back. So put something there to support how the spine is curved. Our spine is not straight, it's like a shape like an S. So support those curvatures. Okay, so we talked about the positioning. The time is about 8 hours, and the critical period is about 9 to 12. Again, to improve on the quality of sleep, the temperature of the room has to be, the right temperature. If it's too hot, your quality of sleep is affected. Usually cold contributes to a better quality of sleep. Keep the room well ventilated. You want air to be moving in and out, okay? If there is a lot of rotting material outside of the house, especially the room, you've got to have that removed. So rotting leaves actually contributes to the quality of the air in your room. So make sure there's nothing rotting around your rooms especially. The quality of your sleep is also affected by noise and lighting. So if you want to have an improved quality of sleep, turn off everything that makes noise, that includes the TV, and turn off all the light. Keep it very dark in your room. Remove all electronic equipment or stuff, electronic equipments from your room, including your cell phones. There's radiation from the cell phones that actually keeps your brain awake. Leave your cell phones in the living room, okay? No TV monitors in the room. People love TVs in their room. TVs give off radiation that affect the quality of your sleep. Leave the TV in the living room, including computers, okay? The room is always supposed to be for sleeping. And if the quality of your sleep is affected, then the quality of your productivity the next day is also affected, okay? That's why a lot of people wake up not refreshed, and they don't perform well in school or at work, because the quality of your sleep was poor. And lastly, if you overeat for dinner, your quality of sleep will be very poor. So always eat a light meal. If you know that you never ate, like if you're hungry for the day, skip that meal and wait for breakfast and have a huge breakfast, okay? But if you overeat for dinner, you won't sleep well. you wake up not refreshed. Any questions?
Is there a certain time of night that I should not eat? Should I stop eating
Yes.
like 8, 9, or 7?
So they say at least 2 hours before you sleep, and if we're thinking of sleeping at,
11?
I'm talking about we should be asleep really by 7 or 8. 2 hours before that should be the meal. But like I said, dinner is the least important meal of the day. But the way it is right now, because we're so busy, we're making dinner the most important meal of the day. So that's why our next day is always affected. Huh? Make dinner the least important meal of the day. It looks like every other party and every other gathering we have is always at dinner. Huh? So move that to lunch. So I think that's about rest. Finally, trust in God. Where there is no faith, there is fear. Fear is the opposite of faith. Fear kills. So that's the message I leave with trust in God. A lot of people say they trust in God, but they don't have any faith. And that is manifested in the spirit of fear. Anytime you have fear, that means there is no room for faith. Okay, so when you know you're fearful of the next day, you're fearful because there's no money, you're fearful of a virus, you're fearful of anything, that means your faith is not working, it's not in action. Okay? And I find that tends to, fear kills. Okay? You can eat the best meal of the day, you can breathe all the air you want, but if you're in a state of fear, which is what we call the flight and fight mode, then that actually shuts down your immune system and makes you vulnerable to disease. Fear kills. The opposite of fear is faith, and the opposite of faith is fear. Anytime you're afraid of anything, you know you don't have any faith. So I'll leave you with that message for the last part of the New Start acronym. And I hope there's a lot of information, but it's very simplified, I hope. And I hope you pick 1 or 2 of that and implement that in your life and change your life. And it don't matter where you're at, and if you fall off that wagon, it don't really matter. Remember, it's the journey that counts and not the destination, okay? So I hope we keep on keeping on, and we keep pushing, and we have some testimonials here, some witnesses. We keep pushing each other. We don't put each other down. If we love ourselves enough, we'll be able to motivate each other. You find yourself continuously criticizing other people, trying to keep them down, it means you are very critical of yourself. So change your self-dialogue, love yourself enough, and then that outpouring of self-love will manifest in you trying to help others. So that's my take-home message for today, and I hope you're empowered to change your life. Thank you.
Thank you.